102 miles. How's it going, YouTube? I want to welcome you guys back to a brand new video. Today we've got something a little bit different for you. My father's Honda Pioneer 1000-5 has just gotten its first 100-mile service. So if you guys didn't know, and for anybody that does want to know, I want this to be as informative as possible. On these new Hondas, I don't think it's just the Pioneer. They do a service at 100 miles or 20 hours, and then every 600 miles after that, you will do a service as well. Like I said, I just crossed over 100 miles and we brought it in. I'm at 102 miles right now, as you guys could tell by the intro. And so, yeah, I just wanted to document this really quickly for you guys in case anybody is looking to buy one of these. I wanted to talk about a little bit about the cost as well as kind of what they go over and if you can do it yourself. So let's get right into that. So let's kind of talk about what they actually do in that first 100-mile service. So I'm just pulling this off of a picture that I took from a PDF of like the manual. So let's see, they'll check the engine oil and coolant, check tires, check the side net and snap hooks, check the brake fluid. They will replace the engine oil and the oil filter. They'll check the sub-transmission oil. They'll also check and replace it, I should say. They replace the DCT oil filter. They inspect the valve clearance. That is going to be one of the big ones. That's actually where they kind of do have to open up the motor and make sure those valves are in the right spec for you. And that's the most labor intensive part of it. And that's pretty much where most of the money from this service comes from. Let's see, they'll replace the air cleaner element, so just your air filter. They clean the sub cleaner element. They check the spark plugs, inspect the idle speed. They'll clean the spark arrestor. I've never heard of that, but they do that. Let's see, check fuel lines and connections, front and rear brakes. Basically, they'll go over the entire machine, make sure everything is still tight, make sure everything is running how it should. Let's see if there's anything else that needs to be. Lubricate all the hinges and latches. Let's see, they'll check the following items such as suspension, wheels, drive boots, accelerator and brake pedals, brake light switch, exhaust system, battery terminal condition, parking lock system adjustment. They'll check the shift lever adjustment. They will inspect tie rod and steering, gearbox and boots, brake hoses and lines. They'll check the underbody of the machine, inspect the evap system, and then they will also replace the following items, which is front and rear gear oil, engine coolant, and brake fluid. So that is actually a very good thing that they do all of that at 100 miles. They make sure that all your fluids are flush. They make sure that all, the metal shavings and whatnot from a new motor can be out of your transmission, out of your engine oil as well. They change your oil filter. They make sure they change your air filter. They're not really serviceable, as well as just the other stuff that I read. They'll adjust every bolt. They'll look in every nook and cranny, make sure nothing's squeaking, nothing's wearing weird, which is a really good thing. That valve clearance, I know it's something that I worried about when I first brought the machine in, just because it's really labor intensive. It takes them a couple hours to do that by itself, but it is really good to have that peace of mind that your valves are in adjustment and they will do that. I think so. That's not done at the 600-mile service. I think that's done at the 1200-mile service. They just do that every other time, but it's just good that they do it the first time at 100 miles, I should say, just to make sure that you are all in spec. So that's great that they get you taken care of there. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I have noticed after picking this machine up and now that I've been driving it. I have noticed that there is a smell. I'm sure it's just like residual engine oil or transmission oil that might just be burning off, which is fine, but it's definitely something that I didn't notice before. I will say that when we bought the machine, that the alignment was off and it is still off, so I'm not sure if they really did check those tie rods. I'm sure they just checked them to see if they were tight or not, but I don't know if they really took the machine out and drove it, made sure the alignment was straight, because it definitely still is not straight, which is, I don't know, if it's something that you guys can deal with, fine. I don't really like it, but it's whatever, it's not my machine. I will say that it does shift a little bit smoother. The shifts feel like they engage a little bit better. Besides that, it drives the same. There's no, I haven't really noticed anything different. Oh, I will notice one thing. So before I broke it in, I don't know if this has to do with the adjustment, but when I was shifting it, from park into high, low, reverse, whatever it might be, it was a little bit stiff, especially going into low. I feel like I had to jam it in there. But now it does shift a lot smoother. So I don't know if that adjustment helped a lot or what it might be, but it does shift into low a lot smoother. Four-wheel drive, same thing. everything's great. So let's show you guys in these menus here. As you guys can tell, I am at 12.8 hours. The first service is said to do at 20 hours or at 100 miles, whichever one you reach first. I obviously reached 100 miles first, so I did it there. We'll go on to, so this is when your next service will be. So in 598 miles, I'll bring the machine in again for a service, or in 100 hours. So after, like I said, after that first 100-mile service, you do bring it in every 100 hours or every 600 miles. On the odometer right now, I have 104 miles. And again, 104 miles. And then there's my coolant temp. That's usually where I keep it at. In case you guys were wondering, 2 bars is pretty much an operating temperature for you. So let me get driving back home and I will do an outro there. So we are back with the Honda Pioneer. We made it back home. I did realize on my drive back that I forgot to talk about the cost of this service. So I would highly recommend that when you go to do this service, you call around to all the dealerships in your area that work on Hondas and get the best price. So I went and called the dealership close to me and I got a quote for like $1,200, which is a ton of money for a 100-mile service. And then I actually, through calling around to a bunch of different dealerships, I actually got the service done for, I think, just under $600. So definitely recommend calling around. I spent half the price that I would have at the first place, or at most places actually that I called. So I would definitely recommend calling around. But yeah, besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This is going to be the outro. I hope you guys have a great day. Please leave a like if you did like the video. Comment, let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to know. I love responding to all of you guys' comments. If you have any questions, please reach out and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you on the next one. Later.